Welcome back. In this episode we'll continue talking about our own framework for writing Selenium-based integration tests, and let's talk about another simple test, which is the community login happy. It looks very simple. One key difference from the media gallery create test, which we just saw, is that the login test is a cross-browser test, whereas media gallery create test is not. It relies on the default instance of a test session provided by integration test base class, and in this case it will be a Chrome driver with desktop resolution if you don't do anything, if you just keep using it. Login test creates its own, so it replaces the session. It will not be wasted. It's written in such a way that it will not be created until you need it, but in this case you can create a new one and explicitly specify what web driver and browser size you want. And of course you're already familiar with combinatorial tests, where end unit will run all the permutations for you, all the roles, browser sizes, WebDriver types. And let's see how it works behind the scenes. So let's trust that the new session with this type and size will be created. Then the helper method login behind the scenes, it says uses configuration provider available through test session. And in here we are requesting a user of certain category, and if you look at the configuration file here, that's where they are. So this is my category. In this case we're treating the category as a role, so we're saying, hey, get me a member, and we can have researchers and reviewers here, or we can use category in some other way, as by the way admin tests do. You will also see that we store here certain environment-specific properties for our tests, so it can be run on different servers, different environments. Once that you have your test user, test does the very simple thing which you're already familiar with. It simply logs in. So goes to the login page, community login page, finds elements with username, password, sends text to them, and clicks on the login button. An interesting difference compared to direct Selenium calls from what you saw previously is that here we're using our own extension on top of the driver. So driver's default out of the box implementation would be find element, right? The disadvantage of this is that if the element is not there on the page yet, this method will fail immediately. It will throw an exception. And if you call find elements, then it will return you a blank, empty collection. But more often than not, what you want is to wait this 100 milliseconds, you don't know how many, it could be 2 seconds if you're uploading an image in media gallery, for the element to appear. So this sort of automates this. Our own extension, find element with wait, has the same signature, but it automates that wait for us. So it makes sure that the page is not blocked. So if some JavaScript is running and is blocking the page from input, we'll wait for that to finish. And B, it will also wait for the given element to appear. And you don't need to worry how exactly it works, but that's a handy, convenient override here, and find elements, the same thing. If nothing happens in 45, if element doesn't appear in 45 seconds and it's an arbitrary number, we're gonna time out and things will still fail. Okay. Other than that, it's more or less out of the box. There is another extension, which is find and click button. It does what it literally says. This is a more stable implementation of, more usable across WebDrivers, stable implementation of click. Basically finds an element by the given by clause and clicks on it. And again, it clicks on it in such a way that it's stable across known WebDrivers. Okay. So let me pause. Let me pause and find another good test. All right. Let's look at another interesting test. It is called discussion detail mark read race condition. It actually tests for a specific bug that we recently fixed. It was happening if you open the same discussion detail page concurrently. We'd get a race condition trying to mark all those contributions as read at the same time, and one of those pages will fail with cart error. So it's about timing. So the test must sort of render the same details page at the same time, and it's got to be some zero number of contributions there. So let's run the test and see how it does. So first we kind of call a master session in Chrome, which creates a new discussion, so it's a self-sufficient test, simple mode as a member, and then it makes 10 contributions to it, which is sufficient to reproduce the test. The error was reproduced with the test before we fixed it. Then we launch 2 Firefox instances. So this is one, and this is the second one, and we log them. We log in both of them one at a time, and once we do that, we go to the same discussion detail page simultaneously on both. Then we go and then we verify that this detail page was not broken, and that's a happy test. So how this works: log in. We already know how it works. Create discussion simple. Don't need to go there. 10 contributions. Another helper and the code reuse example. Then we remember the detail page URL. And we explicitly open 2 new Firefox test sessions. Here we're using kind of the master session that we are given through our base class. Here we're opening 2 brand new sessions, and we're logging into them as other users, facilitators. And it's important to use Firefox because we couldn't reproduce that in Chrome. And now we're doing something extra to guarantee that those invocations on that, or navigations to that detail page URL happen simultaneously. Because if we just call test session 1 navigate, test session 2 navigate, they will happen sequentially, because Selenium will wait until the rendering of the first one completed. So what we're doing here, we're spawning a new thread inside which we're invoking the navigation. Without waiting for that to complete, we're proceeding and kind of navigating to the detail page on the second session. And then when this renders, we proceed here and we wait for title text, expected title, or the title of the discussion to appear on both of those pages. So that's find element with wait. And when this is done, we call our session close, which kind of quits the WebDrivers on Firefox. We perform our assertion, making sure that titles are equivalent to the text we used originally to populate it. And if that passes, that means none of those 2 pages had an error on it, and that means a success.